Okay, so next up, very excited to bring up Jim Fouratt. I think there's a bus behind me. Jim is a founder of the Gay Liberation Front in New York City. He will testify about a friend who died of a botched illegal abortion and his experience with ACT UP, with its major protests and civil disobedience here at St. Patrick's Cathedral in 1989. It's a theme. Jim.
Thank you. I am so proud to be here as a man, as a gay man who has vested interest essentially in what happens at the Supreme Court. We have always, in the Gay Liberation Front and the progressive arm of the LGBT movement, supported a woman's right to choose. Even in 1969, in the early 70s, before it became legal to make a choice about your own body, we took women to safe abortionists in that underground that existed here in New York and other cities in this country to make sure that women could be safe and not butchered. I want to tell you about my own experience. First of all, that institution, the Catholic Church, and there are good priests and there are good nuns, and there are good Catholics. I grew up with those kinds of people. They taught me how to think for myself. But this institution is more responsible for the oppression of women and for LGBT people than any other single institution in our history. That's why, as an ACT UP, we came here, and yes, we went inside because people were dying, and a cardinal said, let's be nice to them and help them die. We wanted to help people live. We want women to have a free choice. In 1962, I was a young actor in New York studying in Lee Strasberg's professional classes. And I lived in a building in a 6th floor walk up, and I still live in a 6th floor walk up, a different one, on West 10th Street. And on the 3rd floor was this very exotic woman. She was a cabaret performer. She had jet black hair, and I used to go hear her at the Blue Angel on 8th Street. One morning she called me at 6:30 and she said, Jim, would you come down here right now? I went down. She still had an apartment with a bathtub in the kitchen. You have to be old enough like me to understand those days. I looked at her and it was full of red water. She said, you must go to the drugstore and get me maximum strength Kotex. Now, you have to understand what that meant to this young gay man. I was embarrassed. Those were women's things over there. But I did it. And I came back. And she was dead. Dead. Because she had had a botched abortion over in what was the meat market at that time. And she had no choice. No choice. And from that moment on, I understood more today than then that the very same institutions, the Catholic Church, the Mormon Church, etc., all the religious fanatics that want to think they can control me, can control my choices about my body, made me affected by what had happened to her. And the book bannings today are just the beginning of what is going to happen to LGBT people. I have the right to control my body. Every woman has the right to control her body and make the choices. This is what we call unity. We all must stand together and fight this. Whatever differences we have, I'll go over in the corner and we can dialectically talk about them. Thank you.